The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Best talk, the best debates.
I just vehemently disagree with you.
News Radio 1110 KFAB. If it's happening here, you're hearing it here.
I don't agree with you. I just don't agree with you. I want to see some things done for America.
I agree with you, and I'm hoping you're going to help us with that. I just want to say the point you were making, excellent. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Your news, your views, your voice, your talk station. Today's News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Mr. Volan, the president brought up his birth certificate the other day, and I hadn't heard mention of it in quite some time, and I thought, well, what the heck, man, we got to look into that. Mr. Volan has been involved in the investigation to the birth certificate for a number of years. Michael Volan joins us on News Radio 1110 KFAB. Michael, welcome to the big show.
And thank you for having me on, Chris.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, and, the president brought this up the other day. And you've been digging in this for a really long time. In fact, I'm on your website right now, and you offer a sheriff's kit. And what I think is even more amazing, you have a phone number that apparently if anybody has a tip or if people doubt you, they can just call you up and say, what's up with this? That's pretty bold, and you must be very confident about your findings so far.
Yes, we are. That phone number is to put you in direct contact with me. I do this one-on-one, Chris. Many people call me. They want more information. They're scared. They're afraid. They want to know what they can do. And that's how I got to where we are today with how many participants we have with the sheriff kits and going to Congress. And that was our whole focus, was to take the findings of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and put it in a format where you can download it. Everything there is downloadable for free. I've mailed out thousands of kits to people who want to get involved. If you can't download them, I'll mail them out one by one. I treat each person one-on-one individually.
Well, you are very passionate about this. You've gone to great lengths investigating this story, and it seems as though that the story has just died out, and whether there's, confirmable evidence or not, it just seems that people are, whatever, who cares? Tell us what you've learned.
Let me give you a recap of what happened. 2008, Obama was running for office. He popped up out of the middle of nowhere. He only had 100 and some odd days as a U.S. Senator. Questions were starting to be asked about his background. He's got 4 different aliases, Chris. We didn't know where he came from. He had no experience. He's definitely unqualified to run the country. He had no executive leadership. And then people started questioning his background. There was rumors about him being born in Kenya with the 4 different aliases. We wanted to see a birth certificate to see if he was qualified, if he was born in the United States. His entire background, hanging out with every communist person there is. And the White House the campaign came up with 3 different versions of an original certificate of live birth. It's a short form piece of paper that's got very limited information. That was proved to be a forgery. Then they got him in office. Once he got in office, I guess they thought it was all set and done. And we struggled for years. We kept the website up. We developed a stamp, Where's Obama's Birth Certificate.com. That was to circumvent the mainstream media who did not, and still today does not want to hear anything about this information. And eventually, the surprise Arizona Tea Party petitioned Sheriff Joe Arpaio in Maricopa County to run an investigation, just simply look at what we have and look at it. And the sheriff department wanted to put this to rest. And within 24 hours, the lead investigator, Mike Zullo, came back and said there's a problem. And that developed into a several-month investigation where they found out that the birth certificate that was uploaded to the White House website is a forgery. It's layered. It's a fake. It's a fabrication. During that investigation, they also found out his Selective Service registration form was a fabrication. We had obtained, not me personally, we had obtained a copy of that through the Freedom of Information Request Act before the White House commandeered that, and found out that that's a forgery. He was supposed to register for Selective Service stamp back in 1980 when he turned the age of 18 to 19. That was a fabrication. Then there was a publication of a bio where Obama supplied information saying he was born in Kenya himself. That was a mistake. Everything is a mistake, Chris, about this man. Everything they have an answer for,
right,
it's a typographical error.
Let me get a couple of questions in here. And by the way, audience, 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. You can ask Mr. Volan any questions you want. All right, we're going to open the phones for you. 402-558-1110. So you say it's 4 aliases. What are the 4 aliases?
We have Barry Obama, Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro, and one word, an Indonesian name, Sobakar. That's how the names were given in Indonesia, and that's when he went to school as a child. His alleged mother's second marriage, Lolo Soetoro, took him to Indonesia, where he enrolled in an Indonesian school where you had to be an Indonesian citizen, and that's where that name surfaced up.
And you said his selective service card is fake. How did you determine that was fake?
Post office, since the beginning of time, always uses a 4-digit stamp. Back then, it should have been 1980. Today, it would obviously be 2014. In a rush, when they found out and started looking and FOIA requests were put out, they realized that he had to have a selective service stamp on file, otherwise there would have been more digging of information. What they did is they took a 2008 stamp. They cut it, but they cut it too close to the 0. They flipped it upside down so the fat part of the 8 is on the top, and they put it inside the selective stamp, the pica stamp from the post office. And now he's the only one in the entire world, Chris, that has only a 2-digit stamp with an upside down 8 closer to the outside circle. If you watch that video on my website, it's only 3 minutes, 41 seconds.
Right.
It shows you how it was forged.
So I've heard I actually saw a video where they pulled apart the birth certificate. I hadn't really seen the selective service story yet, and I'll go look at that. And I've also heard a story that keeps floating around about a Social Security number that does not match where he was born or where he lived in Hawaii.
That's correct. We don't concentrate on that. That's being done by other investigators, but I can tell you this. The Social Security number was gotten from a tax return that he had filed and presented to the public, like every candidate wants to show, and I guess they felt they had to show that. He's got a Connecticut Social Security number. He's never been in Connecticut. The numbers are issued geographically. They start with 0 on the East Coast.
Right.
I was born on the East Coast. Mine starts with 0. Then they run all the way to the West Coast in ascending order, and Hawaii should start with a 5-3, I believe. It starts with Connecticut. He's never been in Connecticut. There's no tie to Connecticut. And there's a whole theory behind where he got the number and how he got the number.
Oh, boy. All right, let me do this. I'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls, 402-558-1110. Now, I would like phone calls from skeptics. Okay, I want skeptics to talk to Mr. Volan. You can ask the questions. Skeptics, all right? It's a Chris Baker radio program. Mr. Volan, we'll be right back to you. 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. It's a Chris Baker program. Chris Baker radio program. It's News Radio 1110 KFAB. Joining us right now is Mike Volan. Mr. Volan is an investigator. He has been searching out the president's birth certificate information. The president brought it up the other day, and I thought, well, if the president brought it up the other day, obviously we need to look into it again. Mr. Volan joins us on News Radio 1110 KFAB. Mike, thanks a lot for hanging on. In fact, we're going to ask Mike to stay with us a bit longer because many people have questions for you, Mr. Volan. You're very popular. Very exciting.
That's fine, Chris, and everybody who's come to my site has turned out to be a patriot.
All right, here we go. This is Ken. Ken, you're on with Mike Volan. You're on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call, Chris. Yeah, Mr. Volan, I have a question. If the Clinton machine could not come up with something against Barack Obama, we're talking about Bill and Hillary Clinton who've gotten away with real estate scams, dead bodies. We're talking the dirt of the dirt of the dirt. And these guys couldn't come up with all this stuff, and they have their Clinton machine.
All right, let's let him answer the question for sake of time.
Okay, that's a great question. There was a Hollywood producer named Viviana Bettino. I've had her on my radio show. I do a blog talk radio show. And Hillary Clinton was actually the original person that coined the term birther. They were threatened. She came on, she was interviewed by Dr. Jerome Corsi, and they had threatened Hillary, they threatened Bill. And Bill was on a telephone conference call with Miss Viviano, and they threatened the life of Chelsea. And Bill said it's over.
What? The Chelsea Clinton was threatened in this deal?
I have Miss Viviano on my show. It's archived. You can click on my website on the lower left-hand side, Blog Talk Radio. Go in the archives. You can hear Miss Viviano.
Oh no, I don't doubt you. I don't doubt that you said this. I'm blown away that would have happened to them. I mean, I can see it happening to you, and I can see it happening to me. But who the heck threatens the Clintons? I mean, my goodness, he was the president of the United States, for goodness sakes. He's got Secret Service details. Unbelievable.
Apparently, it was a credible threat because Bill told everybody back off of it. It's a dead horse.
Oh, we got to get him on the show. Ariel, we got to get him on the show. It's very, very important. All right. 402-558-1110. Let's see. Let's talk to Rick. Hi, Rick. You are on with Mike Volan. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for what you're doing, sir.
All right, go ahead, sir. Your question, please.
My question is, on birth certificate records, there are numbers, file numbers, like NO001978, and each birth certificate has one. Has anybody ever checked the 10 birth certificates before Obama's or after Obama's and see if they're copacetic, so to speak? And you can do the same thing with a Selective service card. Get the ones that were printed before him and the ones after him.
All right, let's get the answer here, Mr. Volan. Have you checked those numbers?
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office spent months in Hawaii. Mike Zullo, the numbers don't add up, Rick. His numbers are totally out of sequence with the birth records registered back in August of 1961. They just don't match.
Wow. Now, see, I got to tell you, my mind is spinning. You know, I hear of threats against the Clintons and then numbers that don't add up. Mike, from your investigation, just speculatively, who do you think is pushing this deal? Martians? I mean, I'm trying to think of who's so powerful that they could threaten the Clintons.
That's a good question. Is it George Soros? That name pops in. You know, he's very popular out there. He's destroyed how many countries? He's collapsed how many currencies? Is it a one world government that's trying to take over the world? Who's pushing this? Probably the elitists. They probably want to crumble the middle class and buy up all the middle class assets, so there'll only be two people in this entire world, the elitists and the people that are struggling. So want to bring us back to the serfdom days.
Oh, wow. We're talking with Mike Volan. Mr. Volan is an investigator. The president brought up his birth certificate the other day. And so we decided, well, what the heck? You know, we ought to take a look and see what's going on with the birth certificate. Mike, of course, with where'sobama's-birthcertificate.com. And I'm especially looking for skeptics to question Mr. Volan. 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. Here's Dustin. You're on with Mike Volan. Dustin, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I believe I am a skeptic, and I hope you'll understand the nature of the intent of the question. Why bother with a forgery if we're in a situation where this is the elitists involved in this? Certainly, they would have the power to say pick whatever birth certificate would be appropriate, and then eliminate the person that rightfully owned it.
Oh, my.
And then, boom, he's got a legitimate birth certificate. I'm just not buying it.
Oh, yeah, it could be like an illegal alien, right? Where they go and they steal the identification of a dead person.
Why bother, or make them dead? Why bother with a forgery when you can just as easily create a proper original or acquire a proper original?
Oh, it's interesting.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Very good question right there. Mr. Volan, what do you think about that?
That's a great question, Dustin. Thank you. Don't forget, they had to get the numbers sequenced. They had to put numbers as close as they could have in August of 1961. So even if they did that, Dustin, they would have to lift the name off that birth certificate and place the name on the new birth certificate. And that's where the problem with the current birth certificate on the White House website. There were things lifted, taken, pasted. Hawaii is complicit in this.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.